I would say my very first summit, I met you like very briefly. But yeah,
Okay.
since then, like we have not, no, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I used to, it's funny because I followed you for, do you remember the fashion? You used to do these fashion posts every day, and I found
Yes.
you on Instagram, and I was like, she's so cute. And I posted you on my Facebook page. I don't even, you may have been a coach at that time. But you just have always had like a great social media presence, which has definitely helped you in your marketing and attracting the right people and a consistent message. And now you're in the top 10. So that is super exciting. And so it is, it's really cool to kind of watch you grow. So it just is bringing in that other perspective, to the team that's something different than what I've done. So we're excited to have you on and share today what has really worked for you as far as growing your team, because everybody in this group is like, I want to build a team. So I'm going to let you take over. If you would just share a little bit about your story, and then you are good to go.
Perfect. So I have been coaching a little over 3 years now. My background, I started in the corporate engineering world, but was like just super lost in my job. We had just moved to California from DC, where all our friends and family were, and I found myself getting really depressed. And I actually started like my little like taking fashion pictures, and I was searching for something to like hold on to. And so I was like, oh, well, this is a creative outlet for me. And that's when my coach reached out to me and just invited me to a challenge group. And again, I was searching for anything and I needed that community. So I joined the challenge group. I was a gymnast growing up. So I'd always been like fit. I didn't need like the fitness, but I needed the community. But it took my coach asking me 3 times before I signed up to coach. And the first time I had the no, I just told her no, like, I'm not going to be a salesperson. I make 6 figures, right? And I think we've all heard that, like, no. And we just move on. And she didn't. She came back to me a few weeks later and was like, listen, like, we miss you in the accountability groups. Like, I miss seeing you show up every day. You were a positive light in my life. Like, I still think the coaching could be for you. And I was like, I'll think about it. And during that time, I had been watching her on social media, right? She was a mom of 3 under 3. And I was preparing to like start a family. And that was kind of in the back of my mind. And so as I watched her post and as I went to a job that I was unhappy in, I started thinking, why not me? Like, that could be me. This could be my answer. And so the third time she came back and asked me, I'd been thinking about it. She planted the seed that literally you have nothing to lose. You drink Shakeology every day. Just sign up, save money. You loved the community of the accountability groups. Wait until you see our coaching community. Like, you're going to fall in love with it. And so even if you don't decide to, pursue some huge business, you have another amazing community of women to inspire you and stay supported by. And so at that point I was like, I'm just going to try it. And I did. And as soon as I got on, these kind of calls, like team calls, I was like, this is it. I can do this. And I looked at other top coaches and I was like, there is no reason that I can't be a top coach. And I think Melanie is just a perfect example because she had 2 young boys at home and she was building this business. And so I was watching her and, she wasn't acting like, oh, I have my entire life together. Life is perfect. No, I saw real life in her and I saw she works hard. And I was like, if I work hard, I know I can work hard. And I didn't have kids at that time. So I was like, man, I've got the time. I've got no excuses. My husband was traveling. I was like, I'm going to put in the time and I'm going to do this. And that's very much the mentality that I started with. However, I was super afraid to talk about coaching a lot. It was really easy and comfortable for me to talk about challenge groups. I find that's really common with coaches. We see results and we do programs, and that was the easy part for me to talk about. So I knew if I wanted to build a business, Success Club 10 was a non-negotiable. So that's where I started. And I hit Success Club 10 every single month. But it took me a while to figure out how to grow a team. So I don't think I hit diamond for 4-6 months. You need to look at the exact timeline, but I was not this coach that just like shot up to diamond. I was the coach. I didn't understand like discount coaches or any of that. So I was totally like looking for, 8 business builders to get me to diamond, which, it seems, that, oh my gosh, if my coaches were looking for that right now, I'd feel a little scared for them as well. That was just super overwhelming to me. So I was kind of like, well, how am I going to make this happen? So as I started watching more and more coaches, and I realized they were talking more and more about coaching, I realized that's what I need to do. I was finding challengers because I was talking about challenge groups, but I wasn't finding coaches because I wasn't talking about coaching. And at that point in time, I was still working my 6-figure corporate job. And I think a lot of people have these questions. How do I talk about coaching if I haven't left my job? Or if, what if there's coworkers of mine on my Facebook or Instagram, and they're going to see me talking about coaching and leaving jobs. What do I do? And that's kind of what I worked through. So I'm going to take you guys through some of that as well, and how I really changed my social media from when I started, where I was just using my personal Facebook page, and I was doing the like sweaty selfies with an inspirational quote and pictures of my food and everything that I thought a coach should be doing. But I just wasn't gaining momentum that way. And so what changed in my business, at the same time I was growing my personal page, I started growing my like page. I was just posting the same thing to both places. I didn't really focus on growing my like page until about 1.5 years in my business. And when I did that, I took a like page training. And that is what switched my mind. So I went from posting sweaty selfie with someone else's inspirational quote and food pictures to learning how to tell my story so that I would connect on social media. And that has changed my entire business. So I know that you guys have probably heard a lot of this, but the first thing I would encourage you all to do is to have that avatar in front of you, that person you are talking to, and literally make it one person. And when you think of that avatar, like I tell my coaches, the example I love to give is, you have to go deep, but so you're like, oh, she loves to drink coffee. That's fantastic. Does she like to drink Starbucks coffee? Does she buy cheap coffee? Does she love to drink it at home out of really cute mugs? Go that in depth. Because my mom, who loves to go out and get her Starbucks and, take her fancy stroller down the street, she's very different than my cheap mom, who will refuse to go to Starbucks because that's such a waste of her money, but loves sitting at home with her cute little mugs and taking her Pinterest photos. Those are different people. And that actually reflects across a lot of their life. And so you really, when you do your avatar, go that in depth. And the other thing it's going to help you do, if you are, and again, I'm not going to get into this, but if you are running ads on a Facebook page or something like that, you should be targeting certain people. And that's going to come, a lot of that comes down to brands. And so when you start digging into these in-depth details, you really get into more of the brands that your avatar will use. And I think about that when I create my avatar too. Does she only shop at Target? So I love Target, but I also love Nordstrom's, right? And so, but how do those two things work in my life, and where are they reflected in different parts of my life? So again, I would encourage you, as you're doing your post, to really think about who you're talking to. And then when you are doing your post, in most of my posts, unless I'm straight up just kind of asking a question, I tell a story. So each day I have at least one post where I am telling my story. And I think people get stuck here as well, right? So there's all different stories in your life. And if you haven't already done so, or if maybe you have a success partner or someone you could team up with, team up and interview one another. Start asking each other questions all the way back from your childhood. So what was your childhood like? What was life like with your parents? So for me, like I moved a lot. I moved every 2 years of my life. And that's a big part of my why behind my coaching. I mean, currently I have moved 8 times in the last 10 years, like even as an adult. I'm over moving. It's time to retire my husband. And that's my big vision and my big goal that I'm casting right now on social media. But that all connects back also to my childhood. So how many people am I connecting with that have moved and know that uneasiness and the unstableness and the difficulties surrounding that? So know all your different stories, all the way from childhood through today. And think of different ways to tell them. So I talk about retiring from my corporate job. That sounds like one story, but it's not. And this is where it's so important to become a storyteller who can connect with people on an emotional level. Because when I tell my story, so sometimes when I talk about the corporate world, I did one post talking about the morning, it was pouring down rain, and I got on the train to commute in, and the smell of the train and the humidity and being packed in with people. And what did that feel like? Like the actual feeling of being in that train or that commute or the hour-long commute that maybe you were in your car. What did it feel like after you dropped your baby off at that daycare, right? Talk about those feelings. And then I connected that to why I wanted to leave my corporate job. I talk about going from like high heels and pencil skirts to yoga clothes. Some of my stories talk about my 14th floor corporate office overlooking all of DC, but how that doesn't compare at all to my current view watching my kid play in the sandbox, right? And so these are all about leaving your corporate job, but they all touch on something different that can connect with someone differently. So think about that in your stories. What stories are within your stories and how can they touch someone? Because truthfully, that is what's going to change your business. When I was just posting an inspirational quote, there was something personal in it. Okay, maybe someone was like, oh, that's inspirational, right? But what people are really inspired by is when they see themselves reflected in your story. So when you are, and I know you guys kind of talked about building those coaching posts, but when you're building those coaching posts, put your story in there. And as you publicly invite, sometimes my public invites are just something quick at the end. So I'll tell my whole story, and then I'll just say something like, if you've ever dreamt of this being your corporate office view or this being your office view, check out my sneak peek into coaching. Fill out my application, reach out, comment below. It can be one quick sentence at the end, but you have drawn them in emotionally with your post. And that emotion is what is going to make people take action. I'll also say, go through your page and study what people are responding to. So social media is always changing, right? Like it's just always going to be changing. And Facebook is undergoing algorithm changes right now. Like page reach is like going down and up and like all over the place. And so instead of saying, oh my gosh, all this time I put in my like page and now like I'm getting no reach, I started to study my page. And I said, what are people responding to? And it had previously been videos, and then Facebook was kind of putting my videos down, and my photos were going back up in terms of the reach I was getting and in terms of response. So I realized I need to be inviting in my post with photos right now. And again, this is why you have to study your own page, your avatar who's coming to your page. What are they responding to? So I'm not saying that everyone should go post in photos, right? Look at your page. Where are you getting the most traction, the most likes, the most engagement? And so I knew that pictures of my son do really well. And so yesterday I did a coaching invite, and it was literally a picture of my son after the grocery store, but he was holding flowers. It was very light. It was very bright. And I knew it would grab people's attention. And it was a happy photo. And so my post was just about the joy that I felt by doing this job. Anyone can post a post like that. You do not have to have been retired from your corporate job. You don't even have to want to retire from your corporate job. You can purely talk about the joy that you find in doing this job, right? I think we overthink coaching posts so much. Why? So there's two different whys, right? There's your big why, that big vision. And I definitely cast that vision in my post. So in the beginning, it was about leaving my corporate job. And your why is going to change as your business changes and as your business grows. So my new why is retiring my husband. But there's also your these little whys, right? So I also just find joy in doing this. Like the big whys, retiring from corporate jobs, retiring my husband, those all come back to finances, right? And all the financial gains that we're getting from this business. But I wouldn't have any financial gains if I didn't love this. Like to the core of my being, love what I am doing. Talk about that passion. This business is hard. You guys, I mean, it's easy, but it's also hard mentally. Where you are right now, pushing for that diamond rank, that can feel like a really frustrating time. Like I'm trying so hard, right? I'm trying to gain that momentum. I'm pushing. I'm still not making a lot financially, and I'm pouring into this. And that's when it's so important to remember what brings you the joy in this business and talk about that. And, I think in terms of your private invites, most of my private invites are piggybacking off of those public posts. So I do the public post, and I am, for me and my business, I normally have a link to a sneak peek. So one thing that I will say about, before I get into kind of the private invites, people ask me what changed in my business from going, my first year, first full year last year I finished top 10, year before that was elite, and year before that was premier. So my first full year I finished premier, 2-star, second year was elite, third year was top 10. So very just I didn't explode in my business, right? I did the actions I needed to do. But going from elite to top 10 was a huge jump. When I hit elite, it was myself, my husband, my second business center, and then two diamond coaches, right? So, or 3 diamond coaches, one of which who had pretty much given up. But I was like, will you come back and help us get to elite? And she was like, yeah, I'll get my diamond back for you. So it was really 2 business building coaches and then one of my coaches coming back for me. So I went from struggling 5-star to hit elite to top 10. And I did that by 10xing everything. So I know you guys, we've all heard of the 10x rule book. Grant Cardone is the person I listen to all the time. All the time. And it's perfect for where you guys are right now in terms of you're in a push phase of your business, right? You are pushing. You have a big goal, non-negotiable to hit. So 10x everything you are doing. And that's what I did. So I went from posting about coaching once a month because I was doing it's easy to do the quick little glimpse into coaching post, but maybe not inviting. And so I'd only be inviting 1 week a month, and I'd maybe invite 2 or 3 times. Okay. So what was I expecting? If I was only inviting 2 or 3 times a month, how many coaches can I really expect to get out of that? How many people are actually seeing my 2 coaching invite posts, right? Not many. So I went from running 1 sneak peek a month to running a sneak peek every single week. Now, that is a lot. But what it allowed me to do mentally was say, all right, well, I have to post about coaching every single week. I have to be inviting to coaching every single week. And as you guys are in this push phase, that's what you have to be doing. You have to be publicly inviting. So I would say, publicly invite 2 to 3 times a week. And if you're posting to social media 3 times a day, like that means you're posting over 20 times a week and only 3 of those are coaching. That's really a small amount. And percentage wise, the amount of people that are going to see that, that's also very small. So don't, that fear that I think a lot of people have of, oh my gosh, now I'm going to be this salesperson and I'm just like posting all the time and inviting, publicly all the time. Again, if change your mentality, tell your story in your post. At the end, put a quick sentence. If you want to feel this way, if this is ever anything you felt, check this out, right? Check out my sneak peek into this coaching gig. So fast, so easy. And this is literally how I have built my business. Almost every single one of my posts has an invite in it. And it's because the whole post doesn't revolve around inviting. I'm just giving people an opportunity to get more info at the end. So switch your mindset too, right? An invite for coaching is not salesy, or an invite to a challenge group isn't salesy unless you make it that way. You are just giving them a chance to get more information. And I say that all the time too with challenge groups. If I do a video and I tell the whole story, kind of like me and my son and what we did that morning, and he learned to jump today. And then at the end, I'm like, if you have ever wanted to work out with like your little one beside you, click this link and I will send you more information. That is it. The majority of my post is connecting. And then a quick invite at the end, and it's just a chance for them to get more information, not for you to sell them something. And for my challenge groups, I do use forms that they can fill out so I can get more information, and then I can email them back. So sorry, I actually wrote down notes and then I just started talking and I'm just going. But avatar stories, study your page, figure out what your audience is responding to, making sure that whatever your audience is responding to, that when you decide to do that really good coaching post, that big invite post, that you're catching their attention, whether it's a photo or a video or whatever the subject matter is in that, so that most people are going to stop scrolling and look at that. And then, sometimes on my public invites, I don't get as many likes or comments beneath them, but I get people clicking to join my sneak peek into coaching. And for my invite to my sneak peek into coaching, I just put the link to the sneak peek group, which I just run on Facebook. It's a 3-day group. And I just have them request to join. When they request to join, I do ask for their email, name, and email there so I can have that information for them. But I don't make them fill an application for that. So just request. And I get so many people who just request. You guys, people are scared to put out there that they could even be interested in that, right? In coaching, or, I'm sure you guys had a lot of the same fears, the multi-level marketing, the pyramid scheme. What are friends and family going to think? So give them an easy way to join. Get them in there, and don't get in your head about, oh, well, this post didn't have as many likes. It may not have had as many likes, but man, I've got people joining my sneak peek group and signing up as coaches from it. So that, and again, it depends on your audience, but that's totally my audience. They do not like as many, but they respond to those posts and those call to action. And then, share your big vision. If you're currently working a full-time job, and you guys know, we talk about our whys all the time. So for me, if you're not exactly where you want to be, share what that long-term vision is. And okay, so maybe you can't talk about leaving your full-time job, but you could talk about, I have a coach and she loves to talk about the Disney vacations that she's going to pay for her and her family. Different things like that. And I also have people who say, I had a coach just contact me and she was like, for me, I was making 6 figures. So I wasn't saying, well, man, Beachbody paid for my groceries this week. That wasn't where I was. And so I have people who are like, well, what do I even talk about? And again, for me, it's painting that big dream. We currently have another year or two. We're trying to decide where we live, but then our plan is to go build our dream home. I'm already talking to people about that. How much Do people love giving their opinions on like decorating and their dream homes? Dream big with people. Invite them into your world. And that's been another huge thing in my business. And I know we hear this too, but like asking questions and asking for advice, engage with your audience. Don't be this person who's just kind of like up here telling people things, right? Be on their level. Ask for their help. I mean, oh my gosh, moms love giving advice. I get so much like mom advice. But just today, like I asked, who sent their son to school? We went to like visit a Montessori school this morning. And I was like, did anyone else send their son to school this early? Like it makes me nervous. All these moms are jumping in. So I think that's really, really important. And with the private posts, you guys, private messages, I keep them so simple. And this is why I think I talk more about my post, because my people who are commenting and liking my post, they already know me by the time they say they're ready to coach or by the time I reach out to them. So if they like a post comment, I reach out to them and I just say, thank you so much for supporting me. And you know what, guys, my favorite thing to do in messages is to humble myself, whether it's inviting to a challenge group or coaching. So humbling myself by saying this, especially for new coaches, starting my own business was so scary. It was completely outside my comfort zone, and you have no idea how much your support means. Even a simple like on my post has helped me so much to keep going, to keep pushing this business forward. You guys, do you know how good that makes someone feel? Like that makes someone so like, it's awesome. And then it opens the door. And they're going to say, of course, like I'm, so happy I could support you. And then you can you can talk to them and be like, yeah, never thought I'd start a health and fitness business, outside my comfort zone, blah, blah, whatever it is. But it opens that door, and people are when you're thanking them, people are going to respond to you. And if this is someone who and you can even end it with, thank you so much for your support. Like, have you ever thought about doing anything like this? Like, this has been life-changing for me. I love telling people about this. I mean, just keep it so simple, like so, so, so simple. I love to, especially in the very beginning, really humble myself. This was scary. This is a big thing for me. And as pushing to diamond, the other thing you can talk about is thank you so much for your support. I'm actually pushing for this huge goal in my business. Would you like to hear more about it? Although that sounds a little weird. But I'm pushing for, I do love to use I'm pushing for a huge goal in my business, because once again, any way you're talking about your business is going to open a door. And so thank you for them for their support while you're pushing for this goal. And again, it depends what's in that post. I'll usually reference something back. So if I talked about my son or talked about my husband, retiring my husband, I'll reference back to those, thanks for your support. Like, I still can't believe I'm thinking of retiring my husband. This is crazy, scary. Like, would you ever retire your husband, or am I crazy? Right? So that's an easy one. Like, I use that all the time. Like, would you ever think of retiring your husband, or am I crazy? Because sometimes women are like, you're crazy, because I don't want my husband home all the time. But so also kind of tying it back to that post, but keep it so simple. Again, I think we overthink the invite. Oh my goodness, I didn't even look down at this, at the chat. Let's see. Okay. How do you keep your story from sounding stale? I feel like I've told my story so much. Okay. So yeah. So what I do for my stories is I sit down, and that's when I think of different ways to tell them. So I'll write my story, it's like going back to like 5th grade, guys. Like, I make like my thought bubble, and then I'm like, okay, so corporate job, retiring. And then I think back to all the reasons I wanted to retire from my corporate job. So, and I just do like my little web off of it. and start writing down. So one of the reasons I love coaching, like I just want to live in gym clothes. Like I literally did get dressed today and then I changed right back into gym clothes when I got home, right? So I talk about, going from like high heels to yoga pants, and then I'll talk about the commute. I'll talk about like my office. I'll talk about the flexibility in terms of travel, not asking for paid time off. I'll talk about there's no longer a cap on my income, which you guys can talk about too. Like, who cares what your income is right now? Before, I was tied to that 2 to 5% like corporate raise, working for someone else's job. These are all coming off the top of my head right now, but that's how I do it. And then when I need a story, I'll build a story around one of those kind of themes. But it all ties back to retiring from my corporate job, but my story, and I try to make it really visual. So I'm a very visual person. So I really literally try to paint a picture and talk about, again, like talking about the view from my office or what it felt like when, I was on the train. So really bringing people in, painting that image for them. So that's kind of how I try to keep it from being stale. Sorry guys, I was just making my son's downstairs trying to make sure he's okay. So that's how I do it. And I will also go back and redo your interview with people. So as you grow, your stories change and how you view them changes. I am a different person than I was when I started this business. I was depressed and anxiety ridden. And yes, I still suffer some from anxiety, but I don't even talk about it that much because I don't suffer as much as I did, and so much has changed. And so for me, the depression, anxiety posts I used to do a lot have now just turned to joy, and how I just find so much joy and the different things that bring me joy. But redo your interviews, because you're going to be amazed at what different stories come out with different themes. And, the person who talks to you and asks you these questions, you might kind of dig into different things. And I have a list of interview questions, if you guys don't already have them, that I could give to Melanie to give you guys, just to kind of help dig into some of those things. So I'll give you guys those. So I freeze when I think of doing a sneak peek. Okay. Lack of makeup while I chase the kids, follow-up snippets for my power hour. Okay. First off, I will tell you guys that when my business exploded was when I was like pregnant, and then I was on 6 weeks of bed rest, and then 6 weeks postpartum, and then newborn baby. I was a hot mess. I never wore makeup. I still maybe blow dry my hair once a week. Like, I am that hot mess mom. Embrace it. Do not feel like you need to look like anyone else. So yesterday, I have a nanny who comes for my son just 2 hours, but she wasn't here yesterday, and I had my sneak peek. Doesn't matter. I just did my sneak peek. Did my son come, crawl up on my lap, crawl on here, and then throw pens all over the room? Yes. Did every mom who was in my sneak peek group totally identify with that? Yes. No one was like, oh, no, I'm not joining you. They were inspired by the fact that this hot mess mom was building a business, and it gave them confidence that they could do it too. So be careful with the wanting everything to look so perfect. Like, and you know what? I've had sneak peeks where I'm like, he's having a meltdown. I will see you guys after my husband gets home, right? No one's upset by it. Everyone gets it, because what you want to be attracting your tribe to you as coaches, right? So I know that I'm talking to mom in my posts. That's what I'm telling my story to. So I know not everyone's moms. That's what I revert to, because that's very much been my avatar. So I know those are the people in my sneak peeks. And I know that I can say, some days I literally am like almost whispering on my sneak peeks. I'm like, say I'm sleeping and I have to get this in quickly. And everyone gets it and they identify with it. But, for sneak peeks, look at what Melanie does, right? How is she running her sneak peeks, or your upline, right? That's how I started doing mine, in terms of just how are you running a sneak peek? Also, I know I mentioned doing sneak peeks weekly. You guys, you don't have to do them every week, but I would say have a webinar you can share. Have, even if you just do like a voice recording, because some of my coaches are like, I don't know, I'm not that comfortable on video right now. Do a voice recording with your story in the beginning, and then go through, what do we do as coaches? Answer some of the commonly asked questions. How do we make money? And then how do they sign up? But you can do it on Zoom, video off. You can record the voice recording, download it, and then you can just send that to people. So I'd say, while you guys are in this push phase, have that to send to people. And, if you don't have a sneak peek link to, put in your post or whatever, you can put in an application, say, or, comment below, or message me, or like this, or whatever it is, so that you can then send them that little sneak peek, however you do it. And, maybe the voice recording or a webinar, something like that, does work better if you're worried about kids being everywhere, because you can do it at a time that's convenient for you. It doesn't have to be live, but you still have something to give to people all the time. And I think that's what stopped me from inviting a lot in the beginning, was I was just doing it the one time, and I didn't really have anything to give people, the other times in the month. So I was like, well, why am I going to invite if my sneak peek's not for 3 weeks? Always have something you can send people right away. For those solely running on a personal page, would you attach invite to an actual post in comments, or a little of both? So I personally do all of mine in the actual post. Again, this might be something that you need to feel out with what does your audience respond best to. So I always just have a link to my sneak peek or a link to an application at the end. But if some of my coaches, some like top coaches, Star Diamond leaders on my team, one of them, she's like, no one ever fills out my applications. Like, how the heck are you getting people to fill out applications? And so she has them, but she hardly uses them anymore. So she does the comment below or message me if you want more info. And she also goes back and messages every single person that likes the post, right? Just the same thing. Hey, thank you so much, for your support on my post. I'm absolutely, especially if it's an invite to coaching, right? This business has absolutely changed my life. Would you like to learn a little more about it? Like, super straightforward. Let's see. Okay, are you working on your like page only? How are you growing your like page? Yeah. So my like page and Instagram, I know there's been like a ton of trainings recently on Instagram. And my Instagram has been growing. But in terms of my like page, I grow by using ads. So what I do is $3 a day. And this is what I started, a year and a half ago, maybe a little over a year and a half ago. $3 a day for ads. And I only run ads for likes to my page. So I'm not like boosting posts. I'm not running like coaching ads or like challenge group ads. I'm literally running for likes. And I am running it to a very defined audience. So I really went through my avatar, figured out their likes, dislikes, and then I'm targeting those people in my ads so that I know, and I've got that down to where I know that's my audience. Those are my people. Like, I'm bringing the right people to my page. And for me, I started with $3 a day because I was like, my thing with this business is I'm never going to spend $1 on this business that I don't make back. And so that is really why I started with like $3 a day. Okay, I can spend $100 a month on ads and feel really comfortable with that. And really, that's just what I've continued. I feel like with the like pages, the most important thing is making sure you're getting the right people there. It is not about the number of people that you have on your page. It's making sure that they're the right people. And so that's where I would say finding the correct audience, targeting an audience instead of just boosting a post to like the whole world. And that's really Instagram. I don't run any ads on Instagram because it's just, I can't target people. And so it makes me feel just a little more like, okay, I'm just throwing it out there and hoping I get something back. Where Facebook, I know they're the right people. So that is, I have grown it with ads every day, $3 a day. And I will tell you guys, I did run ads for coaching at one point. And again, everyone's results are different, but what I found was that I was getting a bunch of applications and a bunch of comments. So obviously I was getting responses. The people that follow my like page, that know the work I put in, that know the hustle behind this business, because I talk about it. I talk about it publicly. I talk about Naptime Hustle every day. I talk about late nights. I, go to bed late. I talk about all of that publicly. They are the coaches who sign up and don't think this is like a get rich quick scheme. The coaches that I'm pulling from like cold market, haven't ever followed me before, maybe don't know Beachbody, the majority of them I was finding, and again, I found some great coaches this way, but the majority were just people who were like, man, I want to be home with my child like tomorrow. And we all know it doesn't happen that fast. We have to have the time to tell people our stories, to gain their trust. And especially on a like page, you have to gain people's trust. And this is another reason that stories are so important in your cold market, because people don't know you. So how are they going to relate to you if you just post an inspirational quote and, a workout? So again, this is just kind of my experience with like page. I didn't have as great a luck finding coaches by just throwing it out there. So when I do a coaching post, this is why I just do it on my like page, and I don't boost it. And if I do boost a post, it would just be to people who like my page, because I know that they're the right people, because those targeted ads to bring them there, got me that those are my people. That's my tribe. So hopefully that helps. And then, Instagram, I am now getting a lot more coaches and customers from Instagram as well. And that is mainly through stories, which I know there's been a lot of trainings on that. But talk about coaching and stories, guys. It's really easy to do a coach sneak peek like every single day of your life, because that's what you do, right? This is what we do. I share my workouts. I share drinking my shake. I share my Energize. But it's so natural because it's just part of your life, right? So it's not this big salesy thing. And I share when I'm doing team calls. I share the Naptime Hustle. I share at night. It's just built in. But make sure that while you're oh, great, this is talking about coaching, you also have to invite. So you also have to invite within your stories if you want to get coaches out of it. So don't forget that as well when we're oh, I'm talking about coaching all the time, right? People usually aren't just going to come to you. You're going to have to invite them. So, and really with stories too, look at who's watching your story and reach out to them. And again, thank you so much for my support. I saw you're watching my stories, means so much. Do you have any questions about coaching? It's totally changed my life, and I love talking about it. Just doesn't need to be hard, right? This has been so life-changing for me. I love talking to other people about it. Do you have any questions about this crazy job I started, or crazy business? I don't usually call it a job, right? You are the CEO of your own business. Kylie, are your sneak peeks one day? So my sneak peeks, I do 3 days. I do them on Facebook in a group, and I go live over the 3 days. I do 2 videos on Monday. So my first one is who I am, what I do, and who I'm looking for. I literally, in my first video, I tell people, I am looking for moms who want to leave their corporate jobs and be 6-figure earners. At this point in my business, I'm looking for people who want to grow big businesses. If you want to join our team, that's what you can expect. You can expect amazing trainings. You can expect motivation. You can expect a little push too, right? Because you're telling me right now you want to grow a big business. So that's kind of my first video. My second one is the commonly asked questions, worries, fears, misconceptions. And those are both on Monday. I do them Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tuesday is all about the money. So what does it cost to sign up? How do we make it? Wednesday is how to get signed up, and all about our team trainings, our team culture, and just a little motivational pep talk at the end. Man, this may be scary, but think what this decision can do for you and your family. And so that's my third day. And I go live. Oh, sorry, Melanie, which part? All three. Okay. Yeah. So, and I'll give you, I'll put my outline for my 3. I'll give my outline for my 3-day sneak peek. So blah, blah, blah. All right. So that's a 3-day sneak. Oh, I go live. So I was like, where was I? So I go live. I've tried, because I'm doing these every week, right? I get tired of like saying the same thing. It does become exhausting and monotonous, and I have to drink Energize before everyone, because not every day I feel like super motivated to talk all about the money or how this isn't a pyramid scheme again. But I found that going live versus recorded videos, I get more people watching because they're notified, right? When I put up a video, great, there's my video, and it just goes in someone's feed. So it's more work to go live for every single video. And again, you've got kids running around. Not every day is conducive. And I've done them while traveling. I have done them on the road. I have done them from the mall, parking lot, mall. And you know what, guys? A mall parking lot, I can't even talk right now. It doesn't matter where you are. And it's actually pretty inspiring when life isn't perfect. So again, I do them live versus videos, because I find I get more people watching and I get better results from it. So, okay, so Kylie, I just changed this. So I was doing brand new sneak peeks every single week. I was creating new groups every single week, just because I liked for people to have the time to like go back and watch the videos. And I was like, and then I'll just, any new people, they can wait till Monday, and I'll go live. But I just switched it, and I'm doing this, keeping the one same group. And I am deleting them on Sunday. So I'm still giving people the weekend to watch them. But on Friday, I just put up a little post that says, I'll be back on Monday, more live videos, more chances to get your questions answered, and, coming live again with all the details. If you've decided this isn't for you, totally get it. Feel free to leave the group so I don't keep spamming you. And again, guys, just talk to people like how you would in real life. Like, and that way I feel like, hey, here's your way to get out of the group. But I mean, the majority of people just stay in there. And so then you have another chance to touch them again. I also, Wednesday after the sneak peek, or Thursday, I go through and I message all of them. And I just say, hey, thanks so much for checking out my sneak peek. Have you had a chance to watch the videos? Do you have any questions for me? Short, sweet. Again, with my messages, like they're just short and sweet. They either watch the videos or they don't. And they'll respond, right? If they're like, no, I haven't had a chance to watch the videos, I'm like, at least when they respond, I know like, okay, they're still interested, even if they haven't had a chance to watch the videos. We're all busy, right? So I'm like, awesome, take your time. Just know that I'm here if you have any questions. And then of course they continue to go on my list to follow back up with, but I do follow up with every single new person the Thursday after the videos finish on Wednesday. Yeah, good. I'm glad that could help. But yeah, I do take them down and take any other like post down. I have an income post. I know in the beginning I was like, man, I'm not making enough to share my income. But I had some income posts from my coach, some other coaches on the team. And then I just shared a sneak peek of mine. And again, I think this is something where I was in my head, because people don't expect you to be making 6 figures in 3 months. Like, I think that's one thing too I talk about in my sneak peeks is, you guys, this is not a get rich quick scheme. And if you want a get rich quick scheme, like you should go elsewhere, and you should be very cautious of anyone who tells you you're going to get rich quickly. What I'm going to tell you is, if you genuinely like love this and you put in the hustle behind it, you can earn that income. I've done it. My coaches have done it. Here are some, here is my income so far. As especially when I was doing, I'd be like, as you can see, each month I am continuing to build. My income is growing. And here is an example of where I am going. 2, 3 years, 4 years down the road, look at what my coach has built. This, again, it's casting that vision. Here's where I am. And here's where I'm going. Here's what's possible. So never be ashamed of where you are, because those coaches who are going to join you are going to be right there with you. And who knows? I mean, my coach in her first month, last month, made like $300 and called me crying because she was able to sign her son up for classes and get like new horseshoes for her horse. I mean, like which I didn't even know she had horses. Like you just never know. You never know. So yeah, I do. I come out and I give them my income. Yeah. And I have, it's actually like photo post, and I give the Beachbody disclaimer, of course. And so I give them my coach's income, like month 1 through like month 27, I think. Like it's not updated all the way. And then I have continued to give them my income, still like to this day. So, I mean, I know at some point, you know, I still consider myself like a newer coach. I am not like, you know, $1 million craziness going on here. So I think at some point you guys in your business, when you are making whatever, when you guys make your $1 million a month, that might seem a little, you know, out of touch for some coaches. But especially for me, I talked about leaving a six-figure corporate job. And I like to talk about too, at the end of year 1, I was making X amount. End of year 2, that doubled. End of year 3, that doubled. And so they can see that trajectory and really start thinking, wow, like this is what can happen in my life. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm trying to think of any other like physical posts that are in there. I try not to overwhelm them with a lot of info. It's more my videos. I will say, guys, like videos, like the energy that you have, like you are your business. And that also changed when I got that confidence, and confidence in the business too. The belief that it's not just Melanie Mitro who can be at the top, right? Like we can all be there. There's nothing stopping anyone who signs up today from being a Melanie Mitro or, you know, from being a 7-figure earner. And I don't think I believed that wholeheartedly in the beginning. And it's so true. And it is what changed my business, because I know when I believe it in my core. And because I've watched myself move ahead of my coach in rankings and, you know, do things that I didn't think were possible. And so I know that my coaches can do that as well. And so that belief, when you share that belief with people that they could be 6-figure, 7-figure earners, they want to join you. So having that energy, and this is totally going into sneak peeks, guys. I am sorry, but it all goes together, right? I mean, once you kind of get people in those sneak peeks, and that same energy and belief though has to be in your posts too. Because if people don't see it publicly, you're not even going to be able to get them in there privately. And in the beginning, it is about belief. It has to be, because you don't have a tangible brand new house or new, you know, whatever. We always think it's got to be these big income things that we show. And it's just so not true. I mean, my business really has been built on the possibility of being home with my son and raising my son and providing for us. And yes, that's financial, but it's not about a house and it's not about a car, and it has much more emotion connected to it. I mean, there's a lot more emotion connected to being home with your child than getting a new car or a new house. So again, that comes back to your why and what's really, really important to you guys. So I'm going to stop talking. I am so sorry, guys.
That was wonderful information. You gave us such great info. I feel like there are so many things that I could even do that I don't do already. So thank you for sharing, just honestly, without holding back. Is so much appreciated. Yes, I know my skills are turning too. So thank you. And congratulations on all of your success that you have had so far. And I'm excited to continue to see you move up the rank. Go for that top spot. Yeah. So anyways, well, thank you guys. So many great nuggets of information. And for me, you know, anytime I listen to a call, like I just listened to the National Wake Up Call this morning while I was getting dressed, I listened to their podcast, and I had a page of notes on that call. And then there's this call that we listened to. So I guess, you know, the way I organize my brain so that I don't become overwhelmed is I'll make a list of things that I want to create and I want to do. And then I prioritize. So, you know, like the time blocks we talked about on Monday, it's like, what do I need to do right now so that I'm still moving my business forward? And then what projects do I want to work on this week? And then I just really create a sense of urgency for myself. Like, what do I know I need to do right now? And that's how I organize it. So hopefully that helps you guys too. And then I'll post the recording and we can continue the discussion. And I'll be actually going live in the group later today to talk about how to like make a little video of your Beachbody story, which was something that Holly talked about, whether it's an audio or a video. So I'll help you guys with that. So just jump in later. I'll let you know when I'm going to go live. It'll probably be this afternoon. So I will keep you guys posted. So anyways, make sure you thank Holly for giving us her time. I know this is like part of your 2 hours of your babysitting time that we just sucked up, but we really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much. I know how precious that time is. So thanks, guys. And I'll see you back here next Monday at 10 a.m. for our next call. Christina Delgado will be speaking on our call next week. So make sure you check into that. So thank you, Holly. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Let's keep rocking it. Can't wait to see all of our rank advancements this Thursday too. So I'll see you guys later and take care. Bye, everybody.